Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. I think we'll just get started in a minute or so. Gary, maybe let's give a minute and then we can get started.
Okay, somebody just gives me the signal and puts up the first slide. That would be great, just the introductory slide.
Yep, sure.
So thank you, everybody, for joining this session on accelerating fiber sales in the altnet sector. Just by way of introduction, I'm Gary. I have spent the last several decades around the world in the world of telecoms and technology. I'm privileged to be joined by Oisin, who's in some Irish football pitch, I think you can see in the background there. So Oisin's a senior director for communications in Salesforce Industries. And Smita, who is a colleague of mine, who is the global head of Salesforce within Prodapt, and previously was a director within Salesforce. So as I say, thanks for joining, and let's make this as interactive as possible. Just by way of context, it will be no surprise to any of you that we really live in a period of epic disruption. And I've always believed that the telecoms and technology industry is more than TMT. We are really bringing the assets and the capabilities that are driving innovation in most enterprises around the world. And therefore, we have a very, very critical role to play in this digital age. It'll also be no surprise to many of you that as a Scot, and I've got an Irishman on the call here as well, it's been a frustration to us over the last decade that as a UK and as Europe, we've actually done more losing than leading in this industry. And we've seen a massive transformation or migration of value to the Silicon Valley and to other parts of the world over the last decade. And to me, with COVID, which has really changed the way that people work and live, we're at a major inflection point for the industry. And it's heartening to see that leaders around Europe are really embracing the need to create a more fit-for-purpose regulatory framework. We're seeing investors pouring in from private equity, from long-term infrastructure funds, from governments. That's all going to help us close the $300 billion funding gap that we know we've had in Europe to meet our digital ambitions. And we're also addressing the digital skills gap, which is great. So we really are at an inflection point, and I think we are. COVID has really driven what I call digital compression. So we're in a world where things get done much faster, and the ambitions of our consumers and our enterprises are off the charts compared to historical trends. So I believe this sector, the altnets, can be a real force for good, a force for great in terms of accelerating our position as a digital society in Europe. But as I talk to investors and as I talk to your leaders, I think there is a recognition that this industry needs to be digital first. You need to be digital in order to go digital. And although you've done a tremendous job thus far, what got you here isn't going to get you there in terms of ambitions between now and 2025. So I think this digital first DNA is almost table stakes for driving the acceleration, driving the scale, driving the capability, driving the economic and cost model, and of course, driving the experience agenda for your customers. And I think if there's one thing we can learn from digital leaders over the past decade, it was their ability to really embrace ecosystem innovation to make sure that they had the winning value chains, the winning products and services. And that's what this meeting is about. So we're bringing together Salesforce, obviously the world's leading CRM provider, but maybe more fundamentally, really one of the world's leading digital services companies, together with Prodapt, a digital disruptor, totally focused on the telecoms industry. We've been putting our heads together over the last 6 months to try and come up with an innovation roadmap and a set of products and services that can really help the altnets in terms of achieving their exponential growth ambitions. So with that, Øystein, I will hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Gary, for that brief and humble introduction. Yeah, so if you just want to go to the next slide, I think, Gary has set this up nicely. I think what we're seeing in the UK really is a gold rush in terms of fibre investment. So I'm going to start by looking at, some of the drivers of this, some of the key challenges, and some of the capabilities that the altnets are going to need to accept this challenge and to capture this opportunity. Firstly, customer demand is exploding. I think COVID has really changed the dynamics around this. So there is demand for fiber broadband in new areas as people move for more space and out of cities into different locations, and also for businesses. I think the idea that fiber connectivity is something you might need just sometimes has kind of changed. Everybody now accepts that they need it, and more importantly, they're willing to pay the premium for it by and large. And some of the forecasts we've seen project that fiber take-up in terms of premises connected in the UK could go from 2.5 million in 2020 to 30 million in 2025. So that's a 12x growth, and the revenue growth is forecast to be the same. So that's a tremendous opportunity. In terms of the regulatory environment that supports this, it's very favorable. So the government is very keen on connecting or gigabit connectivity, seeing it as part of enabling the economy to advance and a key objective of the government. Ofcom have recently announced a consultation to make broadband switching easier, which will facilitate one-click movement from one ISP to another. And also in terms of the investment market, the returns are attractive to, as Gary mentioned, a broad range of private equity investors who see investments in infrastructure like fiber as having an attractive yield profile and also a low risk. So investment is flooding into the area, both in the UK and across Europe. Some of the key challenges that the altnets need to address is prospect management. So the whole area of marketing and demand planning and managing your prospects, so you bring them along and they are lined up with the build out of your network, so that you are effectively attracting interest and then telling people when the capability is available in their area. That's one of the key things that needs to be addressed. The other is ordering and quoting, and this can quickly become a bottleneck if it's done on a kind of a manual basis. So the trickle of orders will start, but it could quickly go to hundreds and thousands of orders a week. So how your middle office performs and tackles that load is very important. And optimizing field service appointments. Like, this is a key area in terms of managing the cost in terms of each connection and optimizing the field visits so that you do it in the best way for your business, but also taking into account that today's consumers will expect to be able to change appointments if it doesn't suit them, and they'll want to do that through a digital app. They won't want to wait and queue in a call center. So that capability is kind of expected to be there. Yeah, and then in terms of the experience, I think, and we'll touch on this. This is a key theme for what I think Salesforce can offer, is that the experience is really the basis on which you're going to compete in this market. And in fact, IDC has shown in a survey that 71% of consumers will take into account the digital experience when picking service provider. So, offering a simple buying experience with a streamlined order process and a seamless sales and service experience, that is required. It's not optional. And instead of having 3 or 4 systems doing that capability, it makes a lot of sense to have one system and platform behind it, which is a strategic platform that provides, omni-channel journeys. So some of your customers, they might start on your website. They may then interact with a direct salesperson who's following up, or they may interact with somebody doing field sales on their doorstep. So all of that needs one common digital platform behind it, delivering the type of experience that today's customers expect. And we do think it'll be a key differentiator going forward. Next slide, please. All right, so I think just one of the things, there are some barriers. So even though this is a huge opportunity, A recent Gigabit Advisory survey highlighted that a lack of customer awareness of fiber, the perceived benefits, and the understanding of what it is, and some cost concerns. Those are all issues that need to be addressed. So communication is going to be key to kind of dislodge customers who, oftentimes default towards inertia. And as a recent Which survey kind of pointed at that 46% of customers want to stick with their current broadband provider because it's tried and tested. So I think for new entrants coming into the market, it's on them to demonstrate how the experience they offer is different from what they'll get from their, what's available today, and that it's the type of experience that they will get really excited about and be willing to tell their friends and become advocates of the service and say, oh wow, I signed up with this altnet, it was so easy, it went very well, and everything's been super slick. You should do it too. It's got a 3-step buying process. So again, I think these type of things are going to be needed in terms of separating that inertia. In terms of what the type of solution that altnets should focus on. So as you're looking, how do you address this? I think there's a couple of simple things to bear in mind. The solution should be simple to build using out-of-the-box capabilities, not customized code. So the launch cycles are months, not years. It needs to be simple to use. So based on configuration, a catalog-driven architecture. So the product and pricing rules are centralized with tightly coupled order management and orchestration of the fulfillment. So that means it's easy to configure and launch products in-house without resorting on external resources. And then obviously, Gary mentioned this, having digital first journeys that are based on standardized processes, enabling channels quickly and multiple channels, and taking cost out of the business and also being able to scale. So, the older approaches of doing this would be you'd go and get a custom built solution. That just won't scale, and it also won't offer the type of experience that today's consumers are looking for. And as I said, you want it so that the customers love the service. If they love the service, they will tell their friends. If they tell their friends, your customer acquisition model and your cost of acquisition comes right down. So again, I think this is a key area of differentiation and where altnets have an opportunity to win and be more nimble and be more innovative in the digital experience than what's out there today. If we just move on to the next slide. So I'm very happy to be here representing Salesforce today with our partner Prodapt and to talk about our joint solution. We've built an industry-specific solution for communications on the world's #1 CRM platform. We call it Communications Cloud, and it's based on an extensible telco data model, pre-built processes, and cloud applications. And these out-of-the-box capabilities and the configuration-based approach that we talked about allows our customers to stand up their deployments quickly and make changes fast using agile methodologies and reducing the product launch cycles. And what that means is our customers get value quicker. So 3, 4, 5 months after they've bought the service, they're up and running. So that's accelerating the time to value is what we call that. Our solution offers digital first experience and channels based on reusable processes and components. And that helps simplify and automate the business processes that sit behind the service and reducing the cost to serve. And we've done this, and we'll talk about some of the examples later, but 60, 70, 80 times with different communication service providers. So instead of building this yourselves, leverage the best practices and the best processes that we've done through, deploying these type of solutions globally. Standards-based is a key part of what you're going to get from Salesforce. Our solution is compliant and aligned with TM Forum ODA and open APIs and MEF LSO standards. And we contribute actively to the standards and are helping shape them. And we see it as one of the keys to kind of enhancing interoperability and accelerating time to market. So, being standards compliant is a big part of this. I'll now hand over to Smita, who will tell you how Prodapt comes together with Salesforce to make this joint solution. Over to you, Smita.
Thank you so much, Austin. You and Gary really put this problem, the barrier to entry, and also the opportunity for altnets today in today's world, right? So Thank you for laying down that scene. The opportunity, the barrier, and the way forward with Salesforce Communications Cloud is very important, right? So let me introduce a little bit about Prodapt and who we are. So to elaborate why Prodapt is in the best position to help altnets cross these barriers that Eisen just mentioned and grab this opportunity. So we are singularly focused on the communications for last about 20 years or so. We are natively telco, so we bring a lot of experience and expertise from telecommunications, and all of our experts are coming from this industry. We think we know, we talk telco, and we can do that from end to end, from all of your northbound systems to all the way to the network. And that's the kind of power of Prodapt. We can help you really simplify the systems landscape by increasing ROI, delivering the business value in an agile way, and we can meet you where you are, which means we are multi-distributed. So we exist in UK. We have people and presence in Central and Eastern Europe. We also have presence in other continents, AMER, in Latin America, and India as well. So while we are spread across the multiple regions, we are right-sized for the altnets, and as we are very agile, nimble, we can really go the speed that you want to go with, and we can deliver the value as quickly as you would like for your customers. Our offerings deliver value in months instead of years. That is how traditionally we have seen happen in the communications industry. And we've kind of made that shift about the digital transformation that Aishin talks. And I know it's a very broadly and loosely used term, but of course we'll look through what exactly I talked through once we start looking into what the offering is and how we've built it. In the today's experience economy or customer experience economy, the better experience translates to customer loyalty, which means it also contributes to the revenue for the fiber companies. We are all born in the era of Netflix and Uber, and we have things on our fingertips, and we have these apps on our phones, and we are used to getting the instant responses or instant products, and we expect that same thing from everybody that we do business with, which means that includes our communications provider too. And so all of us expect that level of service. I mean, that's almost by default, but then if you can delight them with your service, then you're going to really get that loyalty from your customers and have a long-term relationship with your customers. We can not only help you get set up digitally and delight your customers with the solutions, which we have built on top of Salesforce platform, which is of course the #1 CRM in the world. We can also help you manage it and innovate it over the period of time to support the business needs, because today's business is not static. It doesn't change in 10 years or 25 years. Basically, the things change in days and weeks, if not months, etc. And so you really need to be nimble to be able to go with the market. And we're already working with the leading altnets like CityFiber and Deutsche Glasfaser, etc. And of course, Aishin will share a few other stories with you as well as we go along. If we move to the next slide, then basically what it's going to show you is a customer experience journey when we talk about a typical fiber customer, right? And all of us are used to seeing this journey, nothing really new or different here. So what Fiber 360 that Prodapt offers enables providers to drive agility and business growth all on one trusted platform. We can provide an omni-channel experience to your customer. And of course, Aishin talked about how this omni-channel experience is very important, because sometimes they want to reach you on phone, sometimes they want to talk to you, sometimes they just want to email you, or now even WhatsApp. And so you really want to make sure that you have an omni-channel experience and you meet your customers where they are. So then it results into less efforts on your customer's part, whether it's for sales or they're looking for newer offers or they are looking to get better service, etc. Right? And so what we have is we've been able to define these user journeys for fiber based on our experience, and we have built this true digital experience that altnets can provide to their customers. So let's dive a little bit deeper into how we have built it and what this architecture even looks like. So the next slide basically shows you a architecture, a layered architecture that we have built on top of Salesforce platform, and how it kind of looks if you take a vertical slice of it. So of course, at the top, you are going to see the foundation of our offering is, you're going to see that the foundation of our offering is the interaction platform, the Salesforce platform, and it's out of the box capabilities. The solution supports, of course, B2C customer, B2B, the wholesale journeys. And if you look into the layers of this architecture, the top layer is, of course, the digital experience, which is what we want to provide to our customers, which is built in the offering. And it uses features like flex cards and communities, etc., which is provided by Salesforce Industries. As I mentioned before, we've built in the omni-channel experience. It supports channels like if you have web page or web stores, etc., the mobile app and chat. The next layer is the journey built by Prodapt specifically for altnets, which can be tailored to an altnet specific and unique needs. And we have used Comms Cloud features to tailor demand, onboard, and operate journeys, which of course then saves you time to introduce those and products and offering to the market and save some cost. Underneath that is what we have, Salesforce Communications Cloud. So while we do this, I'm going to actually have a little bit more interaction. And sorry, Sanjay, I should have done it before I started the slide, but why don't we kind of do a quick survey? I think Sanjay does have a survey, and have everybody's poll while kind of then we talk through this. It just gives a little bit more insight into what's going on from our participants' perspective as well. So let's take a minute and quickly do the survey. I hope everybody's seeing the survey flash on their screen and they can pick an option. And I hope someone can let me know when that's done, and then we can move on. Okay, awesome. So I've taken my survey. I'm going to move on. So let's go back and complete the architecture layers, right? So underneath is the Salesforce Communications Cloud, and it's using the industry data model. So the data model is completely built for the communications industry, which uses, of course, which has the enterprise product catalog, the configure, price, and quote, which is, of course, CPQ, and the auto management functionalities, right? We've pre-built the connectors to downstream systems. Of course, we are currently using the MuleSoft ESB, but we can also help you build integrations if you prefer to pick a different integration solutions. We understand the industry standards like TM Forum, etc., which Ajahn already touched upon, and we can help you build the integrations to your downstream systems, whether it's OSS systems, network systems, etc., based on the industry standard best practices. As Comms Cloud is based on the Salesforce platform, you can manage your campaigns through Salesforce. You can understand the effectiveness of your campaigns by tracking the progress through leads and opportunities and quotes and orders for B2Bs, of course. And you can also achieve the similar results for B2C by tracking the offers, convert your call center into what traditionally was considered a cost center. You can convert that to a profit center by using by cross-selling and upselling into them using the relevant offers through Fiber 360. So just to sum up, what I would like to say is we can really accelerate time to value by starting with Fiber 360 as you start providing this service to your customers. So now that we kind of understand the architecture and how it's built, let's look at what exactly Fiber 360 is and its capability on the next slide. So the next slide, it shows about the 3 journeys that we have built for you: demand, onboard, and operate. And within each of those capabilities, there are different features that we have built. Can you please? Yeah, thank you. So what this means is you can see in the features, we have your experience on the fiber operations, right? So we can really help accelerate the time to market and save the cost by pre-built solution. So within this demand phase, you can send out a pre-built market survey, run campaigns to understand the demand. You can then use the predefined order journeys to smoothly process order and send it to your downstream system, provisioning and assurance and whatnot. You can also provide pre-built templates for you to set up your products and bundles. I mean, it could be a pretty daunting task to set this up for the first time, but then also ongoing, there are offers that you may want to introduce, or the properties that you want to change, or you want to introduce completely brand new product. And in the past, it has taken months, sometimes weeks, for you to configure the product or introduce newer product to the market. Now you can do it in hours, or worst case in days, but the pre-built templates would help you really fast track that. Once you have acquired customers, you of course need to service them. And so we've built in customer 360 dashboard to help your agent serve your customers in the most efficient manner, having all the information at their fingertips without a need to, of course, we all know the alt-tab syndrome, right? Going to multiple systems to understand different sets of data about the customers, whether you need to access the billing data, or you need to understand how much usage was done in the last month, etc. And in today's world, we have seen that the service providers really struggle to bring in that data in one place. Yes, of course, the data can live in the multiple systems, but that does not mean your agents need to go to multiple systems to get the data. And this is where the Agent 360 comes, where all of the data is accumulated and presented in a way that it's very easy for your agents to either answer questions or solve your customers' problems. And we can also do another thing is trigger the issues that are, say, caused in the downstream systems upstream, and then proactively send out notifications to your customers if there is an outage or there is an issue going on or something that you would like to tell them proactively. So now that we understand what the architecture of this solution looks like, we understand the capabilities and the features that are part of this pre-built experience that you would get. Why don't we take a look at a quick video that we've built of Fiber 360? And I know they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. I hope the video is worth a lot more than that. So if we can please roll the video, that would be great.
In the telco world, demand for fixed broadband is at its peak, with a 110% year-on-year growth in 2019-20, along with significant investments across multiple markets. Hence, it is the right time for Fiber 360. Here is a quick demo. No more painful truck rolls to check the availability of service. Just submit your postal code. Get the serviceability checked in a cost-effective and time-saving way. In the era of proximity services, we enable accurate data in the system, bringing down the cost of acquiring new customers. Google Map API integration helps you to reach the right destination and the asset box in the fastest route possible. The Configure Price Quote feature enables you to automate and streamline a comprehensive pricing strategy. The guided selling process can help the sales team to understand consumer needs in detail and guide them through the right products and configurations. It helps the sales team to select the right product, quote it, and send it to the customer. Optimize the processing of every order through order orchestration and maximize omni-channel advantages. After entering these details, your account will be created and your products will be added to it. Reduce clerical grunt work and delight your customers and prospects by scheduling appointments with the right person at the right time and place. Collect payments against posted invoices. Integrate payment best practices in the market with the latest in Salesforce Industries that lets you reduce manual tasks. And once this is done, then all you need to do is wait for your appointment date to get installed and start using your product. When the payment is complete, the pre-configured email templates let you send the confirmation email in a structured manner with reduced typo errors.
Thank you. Cool, we got the poll results back. Thank you. It's pretty telling, the consumer awareness and demand.
Yeah, so it
Back to you,
looks very
Iceland.
similar. Yeah, thanks, Smita. So that survey results here looks very similar to what we've seen from which is interesting. Um, so yeah, so look, what I've put up here is a list of some of the logos of fiber service providers that Salesforce is working with, all over the world. And our customers vary in size from tier one incumbents like Telstra, KPN, BT, to some of the newer private equity-backed fiber-only infrastructure providers like Deutsche Glasfaser and Eurofiber, and also to altnets. And I see one of the questions was, Salesforce does a lot of tier one business, but what about tier three, tier two, tier three? Yes, we have a lot of, altnet customers. So Zen, Lit, and KCOM. KCOM, for example, is one I'm going to chat about. They're a long-standing customer of what was Velocity and now is Salesforce Communications Cloud. And what they were looking to do was to replace some legacy BSS infrastructure they had with a new digital platform to streamline and improve the customer experience. And specifically, they had objectives around sales efficiency. So they wanted to digitize orders, the appointment booking, and service interactions, and ultimately to enable them to be more self-sufficient. So to reduce the dependency on external resources, particularly for simple changes. They found that their old BSS was highly specialized and customized, and any changes were reliant on specialist resources from their SI to make any change, because everything was complex and difficult to change. And with Salesforce, they saw quite some quite substantial results. So they were able to go live in under 5 months, to introduce all digital buying journeys. And based on the catalog-driven solution that we offer, they can now process orders faster with much less fallout. And we won't get into it today, but the reasons behind how the data model, the CPQ, the order management, and the product catalog, how they all work together is really the kind of the magic and what you get from the Salesforce solution. And that's what delivers the agility and also kind of efficiency on your ordering, and much less fallout because everything is automated right through that process. So I suppose a lot of these logos that you've seen, they all went through similar buying criteria. So what I would encourage the altnets out there that are looking for a new solution to ask these questions from potential providers that they're looking at. So one is the product mature and configuration based, or is it a heavily customized solution? Is product training widely available? Can they go onto a website and learn about this product and teach themselves and their users about this product? Are there proven references in the UK market? Are there a large range of SIs like Prodapt who are committed to Salesforce with trained resources? Is it quick to deploy and agile to operate? And that really boils down to, is this a mature product that I can go in and make changes with no code? So I don't want to be doing any coding. I want to be able to do the simpler changes in-house after the initial deployment myself. Is it standards-based? Is the provider an active member of TMF Forum and committed to both aligning with it and driving the standards forward? Salesforce are. And, can I extend the platform? So as I grow and, my orders grow from, maybe thousands a week to tens of thousands a week, can I layer in additional functionality? So for example, loyalty management. So particularly for new altcodes, that might not be, or altnets, that might not be of interest today, but, once they're up and running, loyalty management and how they, ensure customers, to manage the churn and make sure customers are given offers as their contracts expire, that all becomes very important and difficult to manage. So there's an additional module that can be added to Salesforce around that, and other things like using analytics. So embedding analytics into some of the functions to improve, the guided efforts of your care agents, and also, to provide offers to customers that are, based on patterns that we can see in their usage. So these are the things I'd encourage the altnets out there to have a look at when they're looking at a new solution. So thank you very much. Over to you, Gary, I think, to close us out.
Okay, so thanks to both of you. There's some questions flying in. Firstly, one to myself, but also to you, Oz, and maybe you go first actually for a laugh, make my job easier. And it's really about, with all this money coming into the altnets, into the fiber space, How do you think that's going to shape the future strategy of the tier ones in the market?
Good question. You know, a lot of the tier ones would be on older technology, on older platforms, and you know, the way they've done things is slightly different. So I think the opportunity for the altnets is, you know, starting today, go for an all digital experience and to model that experience not on what the telcos have done in the past, but more what, you know, the digital leaders look like. So, you know, your service should be as good as Revolut or, you know, Netflix or Spotify, you know, so, you know, things like 3 clicks to order and simplicity. So I think, you know, I think the opportunity is if you don't have a lot of the legacy processes and infrastructure, it's easier to invest in the right infrastructure today. So I think that's the opportunity. You know, things have moved on. So if you were doing this 10 years ago, a lot of these solutions didn't exist. So what you're looking for today is something where, you know, the web shop and the commerce experience and the middle office experience and the service experience is all joined up and done in a way that customers expect from the best digital services out there. So I think that's the opportunity. And I think the altnets can move faster. You know, they're speedboats. The big guys, it takes them longer. You know, there's more legacy. It's trickier to change legacy systems because the systems are often tied to processes, to silos. So, you know, it's very hard you don't have the luxury of defining something that's very simple, using out of the box processes and functionality day one. But I think altnets have that opportunity.
So, and I would agree with that. And I think, you know, if you look at what we're all trying to solve for, you know, particularly in Europe, we're trying to solve for very deeply embedded country and continental issues, as well as issues for our enterprises and for our customers. So I truly believe that having the altnets setting a new benchmark for digital first is going to lift the tier one and lift the whole industry in terms of embracing experience and the other things that customers truly care about. And so I see the whole thing as a virtuous circle. And, you know, we were talking yesterday, and I think the other interesting characteristic is, you know, I think there's a massive opportunity for the tier ones themselves, you know, to create their own wholesale and other innovation models, you know, and we're seeing examples like Liberty, you know, who've just gone in with a major infrastructure fund in Germany, and I know they're going to roll it out to a number of countries, embracing that different kind of model. You know, we're seeing it with Orange Poland, with a different model for the Polish market. So I think there's a virtuous circle here where, you know, we need more capacity, capability, and innovation to meet the demands of the continent, of the country. And if we pull it off right, and if the altnets are showing what good looks like in terms of digital innovation, it's actually going to lead to better valuations for investors, for tier ones, for altnets, for everybody, which can't be bad news.
Exactly. And just to build on that, Gary, I think
yeah.
I think, you know, it's leveraging digital. So it's, you know, a lower cost to serve, a lower cost to acquire. There are benefits to that model that didn't exist 10 years ago. So if you get it right, you know, the business model benefits of getting that experience right. You're taking a lot of cost out of the business, you're automating things, you're doing things with less people. You know, you have service agents, but they do different things. So I think getting that right also has a more attractive commercial model.
Absolutely. One for you, Smira, I know being, you know, having led Accenture's, you know, technology and telecoms practice around the world, you know, Salesforce have many, you know, strong muscle global partners around the world and doing a fabulous job. So what's different? What value is a company like Prodapt in combination with Salesforce going to bring to the party here, specifically for the altnets?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think what Prodapt does differently is we are very focused only on communications, right? And what that means and what that translates into is we are bringing in experience and expertise that, I mean, we have people who have been in telecom industry for over 20 years, 25 years, 30 years even. And we have grown through this industry. We understand the pain, the challenges, and the opportunity. And we are kind of prepared to tackle that opportunity for our customers. We are very nimble and agile. So we can move fast. I mean, we've all heard the days when it used to take 2 and 3 and 4 years to implement a new system. It used to take just year and a half or 2 years just to upgrade a system, right? Now, Salesforce has changed the technology world. Salesforce has changed the product world. And now they do innovation for 3 times a year. And you are getting new features and capability from Salesforce 3 times a year. But as your SI, is that SI prepared to understand what that new innovation that Salesforce is bringing and how I can use that for my customers to then help their customers give a amazing digital experience, right? And as being very agile and nimble, we can move with the speed of the opportunity, the product, the industry, and what Salesforce brings to the market. So I'm very proud to say we are already a Crest partner of Salesforce, becoming Summit in next 3 months. And why we are getting ahead so fast, so quickly is because we are very focused on the industry and being global, but at the same time, being very agile and nimble. And I think you can see that in the kind of offering that we have built, which is very, very tailored to an altnets market, and that can get them to market very quickly. So we understand what it means to bring the value to your customers as fast as you can. And I think that's what makes us a little bit different than the global SIs.
So same question to you, Oisin. Obviously, you have the privilege of working with many of the great SIs around the world, but specifically for altnets, why triple down with a company like Prodapt?
Well, I think Prodapt are showing innovation in this area. Very keen. Like we're working with a couple of larger SIs. Salesforce works with SIs in every location. But I've been impressed with my interactions with Prodapt in terms of the understanding of the market, and also just wanting to do things and putting together those accelerators that sit on top of the platform. So listening to the Salesforce vision and buying into it and then building on top. So I think you're adding in a layer of innovation in the right place. You're not trying to customize an out-of-the-box solution. You're making it easier and faster to use the out-of-the-box solution. So I'm impressed by both the understanding of the market and also the hunger to kind of try things, get out there, do your own business development. So yeah, it's impressive. It's an impressive partner to work with.
So one thing, thanks for that, Oisin. One thing I've observed in the meetings I've been in with the fiber players. So, I mean, obviously, most of the major players have reached that inflection point, where they've got to 500,000, 1 million customers. But the game plan for the next 3 years is to get to 5 to 10 million. And frankly, I've noticed a bit of resistance around, hey, we got here by doing this thing the altnet way, and they've been very successful in doing that. So why or how with this type of over-the-top end-to-end solution are you going to embrace the best of what they've already got, as well as obviously injecting, all that digital first capability that's going to help them become more scalable, more agile, more experience-centric? Maybe this time I'll start with you, Smina.
Sorry, Gary, can you just repeat the last part? I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, to cut it short, what's got them here? The altnets, they've been tremendously successful. What a concern I've picked up in some of the meetings I've been in is, whilst embracing digital first, what they don't want to do is take all the great things they've done, throw them away, and go all in with a Salesforce Prodapt or somebody else. How do we address that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And we are working with some of the customers where they do have a lot of investment done into different systems, and those are little older systems. So of course they can't give you all of the digital experience that you want to provide to your customers, as well as, since there is so much of investment, you can overnight just take it and throw out of the window, right? And so what we are also doing with our customers is kind of creating an engagement layer, which then can be implemented very quickly, which has the digital experience that you want to give to your customers, like Salesforce does, which has an omni-channel experience, which has a digital experience that you can use and integrate in your websites or your retail stores or whatnot. And then you basically use a really smart integration layer to integrate with whatever backend systems that you have and bring in that data or bring in the processes much more into that engagement layer. And so that's almost kind of being transparent to the users of the systems, whether it's your direct customers into a self-care situation, or whether your agents into call center, or where your retail store sales agent. if they don't know the complexity behind, as long as they get a simplified view, then they can provide the service to the customers, and customers get the service in a digital first way. But there is that complexity that over the period of time you can simplify, over the period of time you can replace your systems and reduce the number of systems you use overall. But creating that engagement layer really takes away that complexity for the users, and they can see the completely digital experience. That's what we are working to do with some of our customers, and we have seen that it's working really well so far.
And just to add to that, Smita, and maybe to answer it a slightly different way, I think if an altnet has that 500,000 subscribers and they want to move into the millions, like oftentimes, and we see this with a lot of our customers, is that they look at one problem area, and oftentimes it's the quote to order to fulfillment, and that whole middle office, and how is ordering done, how is quoting done, how is contracting done, and look at fixing that and addressing that before they then look at other areas like field service or the marketing channel or the e-commerce channel or the back-end service piece. So you can break it up into bite-sized chunks. And I think to Gary's question, that's where I would encourage those, because to focus on where they have a problem. And oftentimes where we've seen the problem is in that middle office piece, because they have a level of orders, but it's not done very efficiently. Oftentimes there's spreadsheets and manual processes, and it doesn't really scale. And particularly if they're doing B2B, the whole contracting piece is very important for businesses. So they won't do anything without a signed contract, and how that contract works, it should all go through an automated process. So amendments to the contract. And then the fulfillment gets complicated for B2B, because oftentimes, the entity that's buying and the entity that's receiving the services are different. So there's different flows, things are going different ways. So suddenly you can, it's complicated, and you can see a lot of benefits by automating and digitizing that part of the process first before looking at the other areas. So that's, I think, the answer to Gary's larger question. I think we lost him in the process, did we?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
so that's fine. Actually, there is one question I would really like to take, which is one of our attendees is asking, like, how does the product really work, right? And so definitely I can take at a high level, I can share some, and then of course, if you need a lot more details, we can connect with you post this as well. Basically what we have done is that's a package which is built on top of the Salesforce platform. It has a predefined templates to say create your orders or your bundles. It has predefined journeys built using the flex card. You also have a customer 360 view, which is completely built in using a different flex card. But then what that does is, because it's the technology we are using standard out of the box from Salesforce, depending on what different processes you'd have or how different you have your built-in structure, we can very easily modify those flex cards, modify the data raptors to do the integrations, modify our almost like the business processes. The Salesforce gives you the configurable tools to build your business processes. And so what this package does is, once you go ahead and install this package, or you download this package from the App Exchange or wherever, however we make it available, it gives you up to a certain percentage of built-in systems or configured package from Salesforce Communications Cloud, whether it's the enterprise product catalog, or whether it's the standard CPQ or configure pricing and quoting and order management. So as you also saw in the demo video, there is that Google Map integration, which is already built in. So once you roll out your surveys, the survey is built in. Once you roll it out to your customers, you get the survey responses. You get an amazing view, which is also, again, pre-built into this package to kind of show you the layers on the Google Maps, saying where you already have the surveys and where you are seeing the demand. Based on that, you can make business decisions to roll out the fiber, etc. And then, of course, once you get into the operate phase, there are a lot of things that are pre-built, like I mentioned, the Agent 360, the product templates, the business processes, framework, etc. So I know it's pretty high level, and it would be best to kind of understand what you guys are doing, how you want to basically offer these services to your customers, and based on that, then we take our package and we can modify it. Again, mostly we believe in configure and not code. So we try to really bring in all of the industry as well as the Salesforce best practices to make sure that we are asking the right questions. We are also consulting in the right way so that we can use all of our telecommunications experience to say what we've seen works in the industry, what may not have worked, and kind of help you in that way as well. And so that's what this package is all built about. And hopefully, if you're really interested, please reach out. We'll be more than happy to kind of find some time just with you, understand where you are in your journey of fiber, and then how this package can really help you accelerate that journey. I hope at least this gives you a little bit insight into that, but we can always talk more and learn more about each other. So
Gary is back. Hi, Gary.
So thanks everybody. I mean, one of the basic capabilities would be great, like getting connections to stay on for an hour. But hey, so guys, I guess we are there, are we? You've made your summary comments.
I think so. If you just want to wrap up, maybe I think we're done. But it was
So listen, thanks everybody for joining. Obviously, through the channels, we'll use every vehicle to help you to reach out. We're ready to come together and have any conversations with any of the fiber companies around Europe. As I said at the beginning, I think we're in a period of really tremendous disruption, and there's a case for this industry to value, really create a benchmark to pull up everybody else. And I think with collaboration with innovation vehicles like the one you've just heard about for the last 45 minutes, we can really create a virtuous circle for everybody and hopefully learn lessons. I didn't get on to talk about, how fit for purpose our solutions are for wholesale and for B2B. But I think as we start to get to know each other better and immerse ourselves in the art of the possible, I think we'll be able to answer questions around wholesale B2B as well, which are obviously massive nuggets of gold for all of us. So thank you everybody for joining, and hopefully we'll get the chance in the market to come together and debate some of the things that we've gone through on this webinar. And thank you to Oysen and Smida, and I look forward to all of us hitting the ball out the park here on behalf of our industry. So thank you everybody.
thank you everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.